Hey, before you start watching, I want to give you a quick warning that this is not a super polished video. This is just a video of me using HTML and CSS to build a landing page off of an Adobe mockup that I created myself. It's really long. This might be like 2 hours. I'm not even sure. But it is me just going step by step and building out a responsive landing page for the agency that I am starting. So just wanted to give you a warning. It is long. It is not super polished. If that's interesting to you, go ahead and watch, but otherwise consider yourself warned before you waste any time. Anyways, thanks for watching. So in a stroke of genius, I had some business card printed with my domain on it, and I actually handed some out and have some people interested, and I expect them to contact me, but I have not actually built out the website. So I'm going to do that today, just using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then deploying it on Vercel. So I'm starting out with some mockups. I have 1920 wide for desktop, 640 wide for mobile, and I'm going to keep things pretty basic. I'm just going to have a hero, and then some service offerings, some reviews, and then the process of how to get started, and a contact form. So just a one-page website, essentially a landing page for my business. So I'm going to flesh this out, and then we'll get started. Okay, so that took longer than expected, but by fleshing things out, I pretty much totally overhauled everything. I'm just going to have a hero that when you click it, it'll open a Calendly link, and then just a brief rundown of who I help, the process, and then a simple form and a footer. So next thing I'm going to do is make a development plan for going from this mockup to a website. Okay, so I took a minute or two just to make a little visualization of the project plan. That should help me keep on track and help me know where I am. So I'm going to create the basic structure of the landing page and then the default CSS for each section. And then I'm going to develop each section mobile first and then desktop. So that'll probably take the longest. I'll add JavaScript. There's some fade effects I want to add in. After that, I'll add in the SEO information and a favicon, and I will add Google tags for metrics. Then I'm going to deploy to Vercel, and then I'll get the Lighthouse scores and see if there's any improvements I can make. So let's get started. So first, I'm just going to make my HTML file. Then I'm going to add a header and a main. I'm going to use my best to use semantic HTML here. I'm not going to pretend that is my expertise, although it probably should be. And a footer. And we'll add a div. This is where all the header information will be. We'll just call it header. Then under the main, let's see, we're going to have some sections. And let's see what, there's 3 of them. The first one we will call class equals, I would say, hero. Class equals services. And class equals process. Then we also have contact, and the footer. Oh, so nice working on a tiny project like this, and you can name the classes whatever you want. And then I'm going to make some inner containers because I'm going to make a max width of what's inside of these outer containers of 1320 pixels. So inside of these, I'm going to add another div with a class of container and then something specific to them. So let's do another div, class equals, we'll say header, header, inner, and container. Can't do self. Yeah, there we go. And I'll quick do that to these ones as well. Hero. I probably won't even need these specific services inner class, but I can always remove it if I don't use it. But probably just the container class will do. And there we go. We essentially have our structure set up, and we can start building this out. And next I'm going to add the default CSS for it. So let's create a new file, and we'll just call this styles.css. No need to get crazy with the names. And now let's link this. We'll say link rel style sheet href equals, I think I can just do style, yep, there it is. Close that guy off, and now we can start making our basics. And so after thinking about this for a second, I think I'm going to rename this actually. Let's call it global styles. And then I'm just going to add some defaults, and I'll let you read through these yourself, but these are just essentially to get rid of some annoying default behaviors. Like I want 0 margin, 0 padding by default, smooth scrolling, and I don't want any text decoration. I don't want any bullet listing for ULs and other things like that. I'll leave this code in these comments in the repo, and you can check them out or research them on your own if you're curious about those. But I renamed that to global styles, and I'm going to add my basic utility classes in here. And then I'm thinking I'll create a separate style sheet for each section just to keep things clean and organized. So now I need to go back into my index.html and update this to global styles. Okay. And now I am ready to go back here. So I think the first thing that I want to do is set the font size. And I want responsive font. I don't want it sliding all over the place and getting bigger and smaller. I want it to adjust with the size of the screen. So let's look at the class that I have. So it's going to be on a container. So I'm going to grab that container. And I'm going to say font size equals 0.521 view width. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm developing mobile first, and my mockups are 640 pixels wide. So at 640 pixels wide, the font size by default is going to be 10 pixels. So then when I set the font size, if I want something to be 16 pixels and then keep that aspect ratio as it goes up and down in size, I can just say that the font is 1.6 M. And then at 640 pixels, it will be 16 pixels. And then it will keep that same, it'll take up the same amount of space as the screens go up and down. So that'll keep things really easy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a media query, and I'll say at media min width equals 641 pixels. And now I'm going to add the font size for when it's 1920 pixels. So I know that off the top of my head. I'll say font size 1.563 view width. I have to select container though. Okay, and then I need one more for the font, and I'm going to say 1921. So I don't want my containers to grow past 1921 pixels. So if I don't add this last one, the font will keep getting bigger as somebody stretches out their screen wider. So to avoid that, I'm going to set the font size to something static, just 10 pixels. And once again, I forgot to add the selector. So there we go. My font size is taken care of. Okay, the next thing I actually need to do is get the Poppins font and import that into my project. I can get that from Google Font. That's free to use. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and here's the code from Google. Now I just need to add that into my project. It says to paste that into the head. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Burp. And then I need to add that to my CSS. And we'll say root. And I'm going to create a variable. Font primary equals, oops. And we need to say Poppins. And if that doesn't load, let's do sans serif and save that. And then let's go to body, and I'm going to set the default font family. And we'll say var font primary. And then I'm going to save this. And then we'll give this a test inside the header. We'll just say H2 616 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Then I'm going to open this in live server and see what we get. Okay, so if I click on this and inspect it, let's see what we got. We got our H2, and try to drag this to where you can see it. I can see down here the rendered fonts. So what's actually getting shown on the screen is font family Poppins. So our font is now successfully imported. And I'm realizing I'm going to want to make a change here. So I actually want each of the sections to be a container. So I'm going to change this header. And so now we'll have an outer container with the styles I just set, and then we're going to have an inner as well. So I'm going to just pause this and change that for all of them. Okay, there we go. So now for each section, I have a unique class, and then I have a common class for container, and then each one has a common inner container. And this is the one that I want to set the max width of 1320 pixels. So I'm actually going to go to my global styles. I'm going to copy this class. And maybe not a max width. I'll just set the width because really that's what I want it to be. And this is the M property I was talking about earlier. So we will say, actually I want to do this minimum of 641 pixels, and we'll say margin 0 auto so that it's centered horizontally, and we'll say width equals, let's see, 132 m, because like we said earlier, that will equal to 1320, or the equivalent if the screen is smaller. Okay, so we are ready to get started, and like I said before, we're going to go with mobile first. So let me zoom in on my very first section, and I'm going to actually have to start exporting these SVGs. And what's cool about these is exporting them as SVGs means that they are going to be able to scale up and down without losing any resolution. Let's see. Did I save that as an SVG? Export as... Oh, no, I didn't actually. Okay. I created a new assets folder, and here's this. Let's see. Just want to make sure it looks good. Let's double click this, and yes, that looks wonderful. Okay, so now that you saw that process, I won't make you watch me export them again. You can just assume that's what I did. And now let's add this in and see how it looks. So we are working inside of the header. So I'm going to get rid of this. So we have container inner, and I'm going to make a new style sheet as well, just for the header. So I'll call it header.css, and then I'm going to import that one as well. Try to keep things a little bit neat here. Not that one. Okay. Header.css. Okay, and now I'm going to start developing that. And the class I want to work on is the container inner, but I want to scope it to header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, I'm going to select the header class, and then I'm going to select a child class, and then we'll use periods instead of commas. And how about, let's say, display equals flex. And then let's justify the content, space between, so that they are pushed as far apart as they can. And then let's align them center. I think I pressed caps lock. Okay, and then let's add a little bit of padding. Let's just say, I would say 4M. So 40 pixels of padding. Okay. And now let's start adding the markup. So first thing I'm going to do is bring in the image, and we're going to say the source is, let's say, assets, header, logo1.svg. There's that. And then we want to add a phone number. So I'm actually going to do an anchor. And then I'm going to have to Google how you add a telephone type. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like it's just the href, and then you write tel, colon, and then you write plus 1616 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then you write this again just so that they have something to look at. Okay. And I'm really not sure why this image is way overflowing the container. But let's see if we can get this down. So I'm going to go back into here and let's say let's get it down to 200 pixels. There we go. Okay. Okay. So that is wrangled way down. I don't know why it's overflowing though. So probably going to have to figure that out. And then for the anchor, let's see. Actually, why is that not even showing up? And I had to switch to Firefox because Chrome was just, for whatever reason, screwing up, and it was having stuff outside of the viewport, even though the container I was confirmed was only 640 pixels wide. So anyways, back to it. So we got this anchor here, and I can also tell that my logo is too small now that I can see the whole thing. So let me bump this up to 300 pixels. That's bigger, I think. So now let's go and style the anchor. Let's say font size, we'll say 3.6M. So that'd be 36 pixels. And that still looks pretty small. Give it no text decoration. And that's gone. And then we'll change the color as well. So I'm just going to save this as a variable too. We'll call this accent primary. I'm going to copy this. Hopefully it copies. Sometimes it doesn't copy. So we'll see if it does. So I'll go back to my global styles and up to root. And I'm going to add, let's see, accent. And then, so we can now set that with var. And then anytime we want to come through and change the font across the whole landing page, we can come in here. Let's see. So now I want to copy this and go to header. And then we'll say the color is var. And let's see how that turned out. Okay, and for whatever reason, I simply cannot get the variable to work for the color. So, I don't know. That's not a huge deal. Not ideal, but can't figure it out. I'm going to bump up the padding on this a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, a couple things. First of all, in the font size, I had these reversed. I had the 521 for the default size. So under 640 pixels, I wanted it to be 1.563, and over it is when it should have been 0.521 view width. So that was really messing things up. So let's take a look at that again and make sure we're getting the right sizes now. And as you can see, that is way too big. So let's go into here and let's set the padding back to 4M. And then let's set the font size to something like 2.4. That's much better. And then let's set the image back down to maybe 15M. And let's see what size it is. So if I'm doing this correctly, this image should be about 150 pixels wide and it's 140, so it's still not quite right. And then the font size is coming in at 22.4 pixels. Oh, this is why. Let's change this. And now let's see. Okay, yeah, so now you can see the font size is 24 pixels. And the image is 150 pixels. So there we go. Now the font sizes are actually correct. And I'm going to cancel that. And that is it for our header on mobile. Next we'll work up on the header for desktop. Okay, and there's actually not a whole lot I need to do for the desktop size. It's in pretty good shape. One thing I do want to add is there's a call now on desktop that's not there on mobile. Right before the phone number is kind of hard to see. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything in there. So I'm going to add a couple like utility classes. One's going to be SM only and one's going to be LG only. So I'm going to go back into global styles. And so before the media query, I'm going to add a class and I'll call it LG-only. And then I'm going to say display none. So now if I add this class to anything that I only want it to show up on mobile, it's not going to show on the larger screens. And so then I'm going to add an SM only here so that on larger screens it will be hidden if we only want it to be on a phone. Okay. And then in my header here, I'm going to add a span. Yeah, I'm going to say call now. I'm going to give this a class of LG only. Oh, and I realize that LG only over here, I would say display equals initial. And there we go. And I do feel like this could definitely be bold here. So I'm going to give this a font weight of 700. Yes, and that is much better. I'm going to make it capitalize. Okay, so now let's shrink this between mobile and desktop. And as you can see, that transitions nicely. Okay, that is it for the header. So next I'm going to move on to the hero. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export these SVGs. I will spare you the pain of watching me do that again. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to start making the markup for this, the hero section. So let's come in here now and we'll probably use an H1. Bring your small business online. So I am in, not header anymore. I can close that out. We are in the hero container and then in the container inner. So I'm thinking about the layout here. And I know that on mobile, this is going to be stacked vertically. And on desktop, it's going to be horizontal. So I'm probably going to want two divs here. One for the text and the CTA, and then one for the SVG. SVG, I guess, probably doesn't even need a div. So probably one div and an SVG is what I'm thinking here for the layout. But let me just zoom out and look here and make sure. Yeah, I think that's right. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing that up. And I'm going to call this one. So I'll make the div first, and I will call it just copy class equals copy. Oops. I work in 30-minute bursts to help my ADD. Okay. And then inside of that, I'll do an H1. I don't think I need a class name for it. Bring your small business online. And then we'll do a P. And I'll just copy and paste because I'm a super slow typer. Okay. And then we'll do an anchor tag. And this will be my integration into Calendly, or however you say it. Whatever. Just a placeholder. Got something there for now. Let's see. Schedule a call. Oops. And I put this outside the div. And now I'm thinking, where do I want that? Those purple dots. Do I want that as an after, as a pseudo element? I think in this case, I'm going to actually just put it as an image. And so I have that as an SVG. Save that assets, shared, purple blocks, add an alt tag, empty, like that. Oh, and yeah, as you can see, everything's showing up behind me. Okay, and then over here, I need image. We'll just give this one a class of hero image. Say hero BG. And we'll give this a source of assets again. Hero to SVG. Alt equal graphic of website being built. And you can see it all showing up behind me. Now, obviously the text doesn't look quite right. Let's see. So let's go to the H1. And what we're going to actually do first is make a new style sheet. I really should have a folder for styles. So let me change that quick. I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm going to call it styles. So we got assets, and styles needs to be, yeah, that's a good place for it. Okay, so I'm going to move these, which is going to screw up my styles, but then I'm going to update my imports. So go up to my header here, and styles, and here as well. There we go. So that's all a little bit more organized now. Okay, so next I am going to come in here, and I'm realizing we got this padding here, And we're really going to want that to be uniform for all of the sections. Just by default, it would probably be good to have a padding of probably 0 on the top and bottom. Maybe just a padding of 4M on mobile would be good. So I'm going to add that to container in my global styles. Keep everything uniform for all my containers. So let's see, container, padding, 4M. Let's see. Oh, oops. I added it in the media query. So let me get rid of that. Let's see. We got it right here. There we go. And now there's too much padding on the header, so I need to go into the header and get rid of that padding, because now that one has 8M. There we go. I think that looks good right there. Now we'll have a nice uniform padding. So now let's go ahead and start styling that text. So this H1, that's what we'll style first. Let me go into, or I need to create it actually. I'll create a new file, and I'm going to call it hero.css. Then I need to import that into the head. Hero.css is now imported. And let's see, so this class name was hero. So I'll use the class hero to scope everything, and I'll start with the hero h1. And we'll say font size 60 pixels. So that will be 6M. Let's do a line height of 1 to bring things down. How about 0.8? 7. Yeah, line height of 1. Let's try 1.1. And then let's do a text transform capitalize. That looks good. Okay, and now let's go into the Hero P. Font size, let's do 36 pixels. There, I like that. That's nice and clean. And let's see. I think I'm going to make a little bit of a change. I like this left aligned font. I do want to add a little bit of padding. Let's do 1.6. Let's do 16 pixels of padding. Actually, it's a little bit too much. There, I think that looks good. And so now I need to, make that CTA. So let me check out. Let's see, did I give that a class? No, I did not. Let's see, I'm going to give this a class of CTA. Got to actually put it in the class attribute. Okay. We'll give that a class of CTA. And I think I'm going to make the changes of this. Or I'm going to actually put this in the global styles because that's going to get used again for sure. So let's see. .cta. And we will say display equals flex. Yeah, we're going to say color. Give it a white text. We're going to justify the content center. We're going to align items center. We're going to give it that purple background. And I'm actually going to, well, I'll give it a border radius of 0.5 ems, or 5 pixels. And then I'm actually going to make a CTA text as well. Oops. We're going to do a font size of 2.8. I'm going to put the color in here. And then I'm going to come back in here. And I'm going to put a span within that schedule a call. We'll give this class a CTA text. Yeah, perfect. And we'll say text decoration none. Maybe I need to do that on the anchor, I guess. There we go. And we're going to give this actually a height of 62 pixels. And I think that looks pretty good. And then let's give this a padding of, let's see, 0.2 M 0. That definitely needs to be bumped up. So padding top and bottom. And I actually changed that to a margin. So let's see how close we are to our mock-up. And I think I'm going to keep this width 100% on the CTA. I think it looks a lot better on my website than it does in the mock-up. So let's just keep that how it is. And let me see if I can make these gaps consistent too. So let me click on these elements. So this one has a padding of 18 pixels between those two. So I'm going to try to match that. This one has a padding of 15 top and bottom. So let me bump that up to 18. And now those match perfectly. And then I need to reduce the width of those purple blocks a little bit. So let me check out. Did I give that a class? I did not. Let's see. I'm gonna give that a class. Actually, that's the only image in this section outside of hero background, which already has a class. So yeah, I'm just going to use an image. I'm not going to give it a class. I'll say hero image, and then let's give this a width of like 150 pixels. Okay, how does that look? So I think I'm going to try maybe like 25 instead, bump that up a little bit. I think that looks good. Okay. So having that done, I'm now just going to get the background image now. .hero .bg. Is that what did I call it? I called it .hero bg. Okay. And I'm going to change this width 100%. There we go. And I'm going to give that a padding. I'll give it margin top 1.8 em. And there we go. I think that looks really good on mobile. And I did add a little bit more white space. Just keep things nice and clean. Try not to keep it all too crammed or cluttered. So I added that, and then I noticed that the text needs to be changed too. So that would be a good, the color of it needs to be changed. So that would be a good thing to do in global styles too. Let's see if there's a good place. Let's just add it here. There we go. Now we got our nice gray color. Let me just make sure that that's getting applied. Yes. I see that it is getting applied, so we'll have a nice uniform gray color. So now I'm going to move on to developing desktop. So here's desktop, and let's get the desktop mock-up in the window. Okay, and so I can see that this is going to be flex, and I'm going to want each of these to be 50%. So going back into Hero CSS, and we're going to want to make a media query. So we'll say media, min width 641 pixels, and then we want to grab our just that hero. I guess it would be the inner container is what we're going to want to make flex. Let's see. Yep. So let's grab this. Let's make sure we got it scoped properly so we don't affect every container inner. And we'll say display equals flex. Okay. And then we'll make the copy. And the background image both 50%. Okay, and we want a little gap between those. That looks pretty good. So we want to align this center to beautiful, beautiful. Let me try some other alignments. What about flex N? That might look good too. There, now those actually look more aligned. And then I think I could reduce the width probably of that CTA. Yeah, let me do that. So let me grab the CTA. I think that looks pretty good right there. That's CTA. I think, should I make that uppercase? Should at least be capitalized, I feel like. Global styles. We'll make that change globally. So let me find that CTA text and text transform capitalize. Schedule a call. And now let's see how this does responsively. So there we go. We got our mobile. Boom. Desktop. Everything looks good. I think that looks great. So really, that's pretty much a wrap for the hero section. I'll come back later and do the Calendly, add some hover effects. But outside of that, I think we are looking pretty good. So moving on, let's look at the next section. And I can see right away, first thing I need to do is export some SVGs. So I will do that quick. Okay, so I'm going to do mobile version first. I have my SVGs exported now. And first thing I'm going to do is get this little divider here. So that's the blue mobile one. So let me show you over in assets, services. No, not services, because this is shared. These will be shared across the sections. Divider blue -M and divider blue -D. So what I'm going to do is go to my new section here, the services container. And inside of here, I'm going to create a picture element. And inside the picture, I'm going to make a source. And actually, source is self-closing. And beneath that, we'll have the image, which is also self-closing. And we'll have an empty alt tag. This is just decorative. And so this is going to be the mobile image right here, this source. So we need to do source set equals, and we'll say assets. It's in shared, and it's going to be the divider blue -M, and it's cutting out on the screen. Let's see, and then we also want to do type. And that was going to be image /SVG. And then this is the mobile one. So we want to say max width 640 pixels. And then we'll go to our image tags. So this is what's going to show up at 641 pixels. And we'll say the source is assets, shared, and it's divider purple -D01.svg. Okay, now let's see if these are showing up properly. Okay, so it's showing up on mobile. And then let's see if I expand to desktop. It is showing up on desktop as well. Okay, and I'm noticing a couple things right away. First of all, the desktop version should be the blue. That's the wrong one right here. So let me do this again. Divider blue -D. Let's save that. And there we go. Now we got the blue one for desktop, and that matches what is in the mock-up. But I'm also noticing that because we added the padding to the divider class, or the container class, that now these little divider sections, these SVGs, they have padding, and I actually don't want these to be padded. So I'm thinking maybe I should change where that padding is. Or actually, I could move this out of the container entirely. So I'm going to Control X, and I'm going to come in here, put it in here. I'll add a little comment, divider, top, and divider top. Okay. And then I'm going to add a class to this. And then I'm going to add some CSS to the global styles. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to say max width 1920 pixels, margin 0 auto. Okay. Okay, and we can now see if we expand this screen, it's going to be maximum of 1920 pixels. So that's what we were looking for. I don't know, I'm not super wild about the way it looks. Now, I feel like it looked good in the mock-up, but now seeing it, it just doesn't look that great. Maybe it needs just some more padding. It definitely needs some more padding. So I'm going to add some more padding to the hero at the bottom. So where is our hero container? So we can just find hero. Let's just add some margin on the bottom, 100 pixels, and see how that looks. I might even add more. That looks better. So I'm thinking this might actually be better to add onto the sections, like a standard margin for the bottom for each section. So I'm actually just going to remove this. And I'm going to go back into the global styles. And let's find our section. And for container, let's add it to that. So I think on mobile it doesn't need to be as big of a margin bottom. But let's try like 5M. See how that looks. Yeah, maybe more like 15. Let's see. I think that's good. And then we wanted it to be 25 on desktop. So now I'm going to go to my media query and container. Let's make this 25M. Okay. So now let's see how this looks. It looks good on mobile. Let's switch to desktop. And that looks good on desktop. Let's just get rid of this. Oh, that's a problem. Now the top container here has a it has a big margin on the bottom, pushing everything down. So I've got a better idea. I'm going to add this to the divider class instead of that container class. I think that makes a lot more sense. Let's see. So divider. Okay, so where's the container one? Yep. So let's get rid of that. So divider, we'll say margin top 15M. And then let's get rid of margin bottom here. Let's add the divider class in our media query. There we go. Now that's back to normal, and we have a nice gap between them. That still looks like a lot. Let's try 20. You know what? I just might keep it right at 15M for both of them. Yeah, I think that's good. So I can just get rid of this for now. Perfect. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how that looks on mobile and on desktop. So now I can get on to moving into the section. Okay, next is adding these guys. So let's create the markup for that. Okay, so now we are actually going to move into our container inner. There's a divider top. Let's see. So we want to be in the services container. Let's move this in a little bit so you can see it. Okay. So I know this is going to be a display flex, but we need to make these cards. So I guess I'll give these, I'm going to make two divs, and I'm going to call them class card. So div class equal card. And it's going to have an image. Let's see. The alt is going to be house, not house, shop icon. And we'll give the href, or source, not href. Wow, rough morning, everybody. Okay, we're going to give the source assets. And it's going to be services, house.svg. And we'll close that guy. And then we'll do a P. Actually, let's do an H2. And we'll say small business. And we'll do a P. And I'm going to copy and paste what's in here. And then we'll just copy and paste this card. Now I'm going to change the source of this SVG. Man, I gotta sneeze so bad. I'm just waiting for it to come out. Puppy.svg. Change this to puppy icon for the alt. And we'll say puppy breeders. Let's select all this. Okay. So now we got our markup, we got our assets. Next thing I need to do is start adding the styles. So let's see, did we create a folder for our services? No. So I'm going to create a new file called services.css. Okay. So I know, oh, I also forgot the who we help. So let me go back and add that quick. And I think that should be in H1, right? And we'll say who we help. Okay. So now we got that. Now we can actually go back in there and start styling it. So let me close this. And we'll start at the top. So we will say dot services H1 text transform capitalize font size 5M and we need to import this before it is going to take any effect. There we go. And I am just realizing that this is going to be, let's see, this is going to be used elsewhere, and I want it to be identical, and the picture is going to be after it. So I'm thinking it would be better to actually put this class into the global styles and then do an after pseudo element for the image so that I can save time later on. So I'm going to set that up. So I'm thinking section title would be a good class name. So section dash title, and we can grab these, and then I'm also going to add position relative, and over here let me add the after. So let's say content URL, and we want to do assets, it was assets shared. I don't know why that's not populating. Let's see. Just copy that. Okay, so after a little struggling, I ended up finding a SVG encoder online. It was, if you just Google SVG encoder, you'll find it. And got the content, and the SVG code is actually encoded and set as the content here. And you might not be able to see it real great, but I can see it is there, and it is after. Now what I want to do is I actually want to position that absolute and have it at the bottom left. So let me add some padding bottom to this, and let's start with 3M and see how that goes. Let's see what kind of padding we got in there. That's more than enough. Let's just say, how about 1M? And what do we got now? Section title. Where are you? That looks better. Okay. And now let's actually position this absolute. And let's say left 0. Where are you? Bottom 0. Okay, and now by giving it a width of 20%, bottom 0, left 0. Let's see, you can see it is showing up here. I think I want to add some margin bottom to this. Let's say 0.5 m. And that looks pretty good. Let me compare it to the mock-up I have. Yeah, I think it could use maybe a little tiny bit more padding on the bottom. Let's try 0.7 m. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. That's pretty much exactly what I have in my mock-up. So that is looking good. Next, we want the image. So we're going to style the card. So I'm going to go back to my services.css. Actually, I already have it open over here. And I can get rid of that because that is now a global style. So let me go back to my... So I got my markup in the left, style sheet on the right, and I can continue styling this. So we'll do the card now, .services, .card, and we will say that the width is 50% and margin is 0 auto. That's looking much better. And then I realize I'm probably going to want a container for these cards. So looking at my markup again, let's see, let's do a div with a class of cards. And I'm doing that because on desktop I'm going to want this to be flex. But the title is going to need to be outside of it. So that's why I'm doing this. So let me add this around the cards. Okay. So there we go. And then I also want to add a little padding top to it. And let's see how that looks. Maybe a few more. Maybe like 6M. Why is that not taking effect? Okay, so that's taking effect. I had to refresh for some reason, so the live server must be screwing up. But let me add, I'm just going to add display flex so I can add a gap. And flex direction column. There we go. And gap 2M. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Why I have the purple blocks here. Well, I'll get to that in a second. But okay, so now I need to style the text. So let me look at so I added these selectors for the H2 and the P, and we're gonna want, so say text align center. So I'm looking, and I think that that icon is a little bit too big, and I think the text is a little bit too small too for that title. So here's my mock-up, and up here is my title. So I'm going to see if I can make that title a little bit bigger. So I'm going back into global styles, and where did I put that title? Section title. Let's make this 8M. How about? Maybe that's a tiny bit big. Let's go 7M. That to me looks pretty good. And then that after is a little bit small. Let's bump that up to 30%. That looks really good. Okay. And then one of the things I wanted to do is I want to make the image a little bit smaller, but I want the width to stay wide. So I need to target these images. So let me look at my HTML over here. So it's a card, and then it's the image. So I can select that in my services CSS. So let me add a new selector here. See how that does. Oh, I think that looks very good. I think the only thing this is missing on mobile is a larger gap between the cards. Let's look at it here. Yeah, I would say maybe like a gap of 5M is going to look better. Ooh. Not plenty of white space. That to me looks much better. And then I think that's right. I take it back. There is one other thing that I'm missing right now, and that is the bottom divider here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that quick. And I realize because of what we did with the margin earlier, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make separate divider top and divider bottom classes. So I'm going to alter this divider that's already existing quickly. And I'm going to name that. Well, actually, I'm going to add. No, I'll just go like this. Divider top. Okay. And I believe I put that in my global CSS. Yeah, I did. Okay. And you know what? I think I am going to make it a modifier class. And I'm going to make a margin bottom one too. I'm not sure I need anything special at this point. I'm just going to leave it empty. It's going to holler at me for that, but now let me come back in here and change this. Did I spell divider correctly? Okay, so what we want to do now is I'm going to capture this or copy this and modify it. So this is going to go under the services container. Then we could get rid of the modifier class. Actually, I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to alter it. And then let's see here. So we're going to want to change all of these to divider purple dash M. So I'm going to just go through and replace all those. Or actually this one, no, that's not right. This one should be the D. There we go. So that's the desktop one, and now I just need to replace the mobile one. Okay, let's see if that got added in. And that did get added in. And I think that looks pretty freaking good. We might want to add some margin top to that one as well. So I'm going to go into the global styles. That looks really good, I think. Okay, so now I'm looking at desktop and I can see a bunch of stuff right away. That header looks terrible. And media. And we're going to say min width equals 641 pixels. And then we're going to select, let's see, actually, I need to change the global styles first. So I'm going to change this is the section title. And I'm going to change the section title after. We'll say font size 5M. What's a little bit less extreme? Okay. And then we need to change the after as well. And there we go. That looks much better. I might adjust my method for these dividers. I'm not wild about the way they look on desktop, but not today. I need to get this going. So let's see. Next thing I need to do is make this a flex direction row, and that one was done in services.css. So I can grab the cards. And make that a flex direction row. And really, that pretty much nails it. Now the only thing that I am not wild about is these dividers. This one's fine. This one is not that fine. I would almost rather it was positioned absolutely. See what it looks. But honestly, that looks good enough to me for now. People can see exactly who we help. All the information is right there, so I think that about does it for that section. Okay, looking at the next section, and honestly, I think I'm going to be able to recycle a lot of the styles from the last section, so that's good. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and export these SVGs. You don't need to see me do that, so I'm going to pause it quick and get all those. Okay, so I think I can copy a lot of the style. So let me make my new style sheet, and this one's going to be called process.css. So then I have to import that again up here. Okay. And I'm also going to copy everything that's in here, paste it into process, and I believe, where is it? Where is my processes section? Right here. Yeah, process. So I'm going to do a find and replace. And then I'm also going to, let's move this to mobile because we're going to develop mobile first. I'm going to copy and paste the markup because it's pretty much identical. Okay, so we got services, so everything inside of services inner will be good. Okay, so we got card. I know we want cards. So there's cards. Yep. I think we can just paste that now into the next section. Just right here. Perfect. And we're actually going to need a third card. So then I'm just going to come through and update these. So we should have two identical ones. Yep. Oops, I pasted that last card into the wrong spot. Cut it. And I need to paste that into the one down here after the last card. Okay, so now the bottom section. Yep, the bottom section now has 3. Just how I wanted. Okay, so now I'm just going to quick update the content from who we helped to our easy process. And that's wrapping, so that's a little bit annoying. So what I'm going to do is go into the global style, and that's title, and I am going to say word wrap. No, wait, is that word wrap? Must not be word wrap. I tried doing white space no wrap, but now it looks bad. It is, as you can see, it's overflowing the container. So I'm just going to target this in that specific section and make it a little bit smaller. So let's see, dot process. Font size 6M. There we go. That's better. Okay. And now I need to update the rest of the text here. So I need to add some comments here so I know which section I'm working on. It's hard to pick it out through all the That makes it easier to pick through. Okay, so here's the first card, and it should be let's chat. And then this should be smiley face. Bang. And then this should say boom. That card's done. This section might be a snap. Say create your plan. Did I do the bottom one? Oops. Yep. And finally, go online. I need to update the alt tags on these too. Make this website nice and accessible. Yeah, this needs to be a rocket. Okay, I really like that. That is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's nice when you can reuse classes. And now, let's see, I should update the alts. So, looking at the top one, smiley. Light bulb. And rocket. Okay, I also need to add this schedule a call button. So I might make a modifier class for my CTA. So let me look up at the top here. My first section, schedule a call here. So I'm going to come back down now. And I wanted this to be after the cards div. Since the cards is going to be flex. Oops. What in the world? I thought I had gotten it. Let's see. How does it? Oh wow! Look at that. Okay. So I'm going to give cards a little bit of margin bottom, I think. Well, maybe CTA. Let's see. We're gonna have to give that a lot more. There, that looks good. I think I'm also going to add a little margin on the title. And I think that section looks pretty good. And I think later I'm going to add some animate on scroll stuff here, just so that gives kind of like a step-by-step concept as the users go through here. But I think mobile looks pretty good. So let me switch to desktop. Oh wow, this is going to be extremely easy. I can probably... Wow. So probably all I need to do is just restore the font size to 7. In fact, I might add a... Let's see. I was going to add another media query, but never mind. I'll just put it back to how it was. No, I will add a media query. Okay, so... media, I need the @ sign, at media, max width equals 640 pixels. And that way, the things that I did to alter the title class will only take effect on the home page, on small screens. Okay, so the titles match again. They're both 50 pixels on desktop. These cards look great. I don't need to make any changes to those. I think the only other two things I need to do is I need to add a little bit of margin here. To match that. Let's see. So if I look at that, I can see how much margin it has on top. Or can I? I guess it would be the height of the image actually. So it would be 15.569 M. So in my media query for desktop, I want to make it 150 pixels wide, or our easy process is what I want right here. Okay. And there we go. That looks more consistent. Now the only other thing I need to do is change the width of this CTA. Let's see, and what kind of margin did we have before? Let's just say 12M 00 12M. See what we get. And for some reason it is not aligned. Oh, I got these backwards. I could just do 12M0. There we go. And I think that looks pretty good. Maybe it's a little bit extreme. Oops. Let's see, how does that compare to my mock-up? Pretty good. Okay. So now if I switch back and forth between these, looks good on mobile, looks good on desktop. So that is 3 sections down. Okay, on to the next section. Let's create our style sheet and import it. And this is connect.css. This one is not going to go as fast, I'm afraid, but that's okay. And we got to import this. Come up here. Come on. What am I doing? What am I doing? Bang. Okay, so that's imported. And I know we are going to need that top image again. Let's see how that goes. If I just copy what I did earlier, I really got to add some comments here so I can see which section is which and close ones I'm not working on. Okay, divider top. So I want to copy that one. Okay. So let's see. We are trying to work in. Oh, I named it contact. Did I? Is that? I'm going to change this to connect to match my style sheet. Okay. Now above, let's add the comment so I know where we are. No, I don't want to rewrite using Copilot. Divider tab. Okay. Let's see what we got now. Huh. You know what? That worked out better than I expected. I don't mind that one bit. Okay. Moving on, I need to export this message icon. Okay, I got that SVG. So next, I'm going to make this title again so I can copy what I had for process. Section title. And change the text to let's connect. And you know what? So let's see how that looks. That looks freaking amazing. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I want to add this, and I'm realizing I could just use the card class again. So let me copy the card class. Just gonna copy all this whole stuff. I'm gonna paste a Rooney. And then we are going to do a little find and replace again. And we're going to call it connect. And we're there. Alright. So I guess that's all good. And next thing I'm going to do is actually put a card in there. So going back to my markup, I don't need the card's wrapper, I just need a card. So I'm going to grab one of those bad boys. I'm going to close this up again. And we are working in connect. Add some space. Let's see how that looks. Okay, perfect. So now I just need to change the icon. And let's see. I can get rid of this. I don't need this part. Remove that from the CSS too. And I might end up making this wider. It definitely needs a little space to it. So let me look at this. What did I do? Oh, I'm in the wrong file. Get rid of this since there's no H2. And I'm going to add a little margin top. I think that looks pretty good. I think maybe the text could be a little bit bigger, but it would also be good to keep it pretty uniform. Okay. I think that's pretty good. So then the next thing is working out the structure of the form. So I've had it pretty easy here, just recycling classes earlier. But now I'm going to have to do this form, and so I'm going to have to think a second here about how I want to handle this markup. Okay, let's make the markup for this form. I really love making forms. That's a lot of sarcasm, in case you didn't gather that. Okay, anyway, enough whining. So there's card. Yeah. Unsubmit. There. Okay. Form and let's see. I'm going to do a full row. Label for these are going to have to be in their own div too. Let's see. We'll call it a half width field. Okay. So there's that, and then starting to think full row might be a pointless class, but we can always, oops, what just happened? What just happened? We can always change it later. Why is that expanding? Okay. Full row. Oh, I never added the inputs here. Come on, Martin. Get it together. Placeholder. It doesn't need a placeholder. I'm seeing it show up. Yeah, it looks right so far. Oh, I need to give this IDs too, and okay. I think you can do type email, right? Yeah, it looks like you can. Look at that. I'm not a form master. I should be with how many forms I've made. Let's see. And then we're going to want to do a half row again. So, no, I can just copy pasta this. And okay. Is phone not a type? Say number. Okay. So I can see that those are appearing nicely. So all I need to do is style these. So one thing that's annoying is why are they next to each other? Do I know nothing about forms? Anyway, connect. I'm going to split this over to the right. Okay. Let's start. Can you guys see? Yeah, looks like you can see. Okay, sorry if you can't. This is our dot connect, and we want to make full row. Should be flex. Right? Yeah, we do. And we want to justify content space between. I really wish it did not keep going back. Okay, so that's good. And then we want to add a class for the half width field. Oh, I got the Minecraft Tricky Trials song stuck in my head. That's my working music. Oh, so I want this to be display flex, and then let's see if I can make them column up. How are you looking? Yes! Yes! Okay. And then I want the width to be 50%. Now let's give it a little gap. Okay. Oh, no, I don't want a gap. Instead, let's make this a little bit smaller. How about we do 46%? And how about we do 48%? Yeah. Okay. I like that. So now we can do our labels. Oh yeah. Okay. I would say we need to give this form a little bit of padding on top too. Yeah. Or margin. Why is that not working? I don't know why. Oh. Because of my selector. What if I did Ocho? Ocho looks better. Okay. Now this inputs. Okay, so those are starting to come along. I think on the capture it looks like the letters are touching the input fields, but they are not. I do see that we got some text wrapping there for email address and phone number, which does not match the mock-up. So I'm not sure why that is happening here. So let me see. Let me email address. So full row. So this should be flex. Let me look at it in the console. Full row. Justify. Yeah, is it not? Should be a flex direction column. No. No, I don't want to do that. I'm on the wrong container, I think. So I want to be... Okay, so what I need to do is I need to make another div around these. And I need to make it not be flex. So I'm going to add another div here. Oops. And we'll say full width field. And oops, sorry. There, that looks better. Now the full width field input. Let's see, I got the connect right here. So, I'm going to add another selector here. I'm going to select dot full width input. And I'm going to make width. Oops. No, full width field input. And I'm going to make that width 100%. Now let's see what we got. I don't know why it keeps going back up to schedule a call. Okay, there we go. That looks better. Okay, so I just need to copy that same format for the phone number optional as well. So I'm just going to add that div with that class over. And there we go. And I think I need a little bit of space between these. Let's see. I'm starting to get confused by my own structure. Okay. So on my form, so full row, I think I need to add a little bit of margin top. I could either do that or I could add some gap. Gap might actually be better. So in the form itself, I'm going to say display flex, and then I'm going to say align, or oops, flex direction column. I'm going to say gap. Let's do 1.6 EM, and let's see how that looks. I think that looks pretty good. I do think I need some more white space between the label and the input. So let me do a margin top 0.5 EM. Yes, that looks much better with a little white space in between them. Okay, and then in the input, I'm going to say padding equals just I probably just want left. So I'm going to say 0.2 m and top 0.2 m. I'm just going to do 0.2 m. Let's see how that looks. Maybe 0.25 m. There we go. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Let me look at the difference between the mock-up. One thing I'm definitely seeing is this could definitely be wider. I would probably like that to take up like 100% of the width. So let me look. Where is that? So I did card. So we're going to do a .connect card P. And looks like I already have a selector for that. So I'm going to say width 100%. Apparently that was not right. Oh, it might be the card width. That's why. There we go. There we go. That is much better. Okay, so now I just need to add the CTA. And I better quick look at the desktop mockup. Oh yeah, so on desktop this is simply going to do flex, and it's going to have the copy on the left and the form on the right. So this responsive design is not too complex. So let's take a look. So I think I already have the class for the CTA. Yeah, I do. In the schedule a call section, I should just be able to use that. So process. Here it is. Okay, so we definitely need this within the form, and we want it after all the inputs. This is kind of div soup here, y'all. Let's see what happens here. Schedule a call. Well, so I want the gap to match everything else. So let's see if I can figure out what kind of gap I got here. So it's saying that the margin is 18 pixels on the top. And there's a gap as well. So let's see. And that one's got 15. I think I just need to not overthink this and bump it up a little bit. So I need to just do connect CTA. Make another selector. And then I'll modify that. And let's see what classes I have on it right now. Let's see. So it currently has margin of 1.80. So let's make that 2.40. See what we get. Did that take effect? Oh, I need to do 2.4 EM. There, that took effect, but I think it could still be a little bit bigger. How does that look? I think that looks pretty good. I should probably make the font size match these inputs. I think that would help. And also the padding should match. Right now it doesn't quite match. So I need to select the inner here. And so it's currently 2.8, but I have 3M for my inputs. So I'm going to get that CTA text. I'm going to say font size 3M. And now that matches. And I'm going to bump up this a little bit. So border radius 0.5 em. So that matches, but it doesn't quite look the same. The height is a little bit different too. I really think it would look a lot better if it matched. So I guess the height would be 6.2 em as well. I should probably adjust my global class for 6.4 em. So let's see. Okay, so that needs to be, I don't know why the height is not larger. Why are you, oh no, it is. So that's 64 pixels. Okay. I think I just need to add a little bit more border radius. Let's try 7.5. Sorry, I think I'm getting a little bit carried away here. I just feel like it would look good if it matched closer to the inputs. I feel like that height looks better. The border radius is still just not quite matching. And you know what? I'm going to call that good. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think I still need to do, let's see, is there, oh, okay, so the next section is the footer. So that's fine. So all I need to do is the responsive design here. So is this already divided into two spots? I got my form and I have my card. So yes, that actually is, what about the let's connect text? I think I kind of forgot about that. Okay, no, that's right where I want it. So let me switch over to desktop and let's see what we have to do here. Yeah, so I can tell, I just need to, I think these need to be wrapped in a div here. Let's see, so we got the card. Yes, so I need to say div. And I'm going to make this class. Ooh, I guess content. Sorry, everyone. I think I'm starting to unravel here. But it is what it is. Okay. So I need to add my media query now. Min width equals 641 pixels. And Let's see. Now I'm going to select the .connect .content, and I'm going to say display equals flex. Did I not save this? Okay, I couldn't figure out why that wasn't working, but all I actually had to do was refresh. I don't know, the live server was timing out. So let's see here. So, I mean, we're already pretty close here. Let's see. Say justify content space between. Okay. And then I guess I should probably set a width here. And actually, I think I want to change this to center. And then a line item center for this one too. Yeah, and then that form needs to be much smaller. I'm struggling. It's Saturday, guys. My brain is mush. Everybody's sick here. Let's see. And we'll say the width is, let's just say like 450 pixels. Let's see how that looks. $45M. We definitely want to probably double that. Let's give it it might be too big. What if we do like 50%? I think we should do like the other one, where actually both of those items are. Okay, so connect form and connect card. We'll make them even at 48%. And I don't know why that's not taking up the full width. Should figure that out. But I think that looks pretty good. And then I need to add a gap. Let's add like 6M. See what happens. How does that look in comparison to my mockup? I think the form, I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. Let's see, the only real issue I'm seeing is that the width of email address is not 100% for some reason. Full width field input. Is there some kind of margin there? So the input is 100%, the label is 100%. So the full width field. Okay, I added full width field with 100%, and that definitely fixed it on desktop. Let's see if it's not broken. Okay, and it still looks good on mobile as well. Okay, and now moving on to the last section, the footer. So I switch back to a mobile view, and let me start by making the layout. So we're going to want the logo. And then we're going to want another, I think we're going to want a content class here. Oops. Just write straight up XML now. Div class equals content. At least we're getting some kind of a pattern here. Okay. And we will say that we want the label, the image first. So here's where my SVG is going to be. Okay. And above this, we're going to want another div. And we'll say that the class is quick links. And then within here, we're going to want several we're going to have several ULs. I might put each one of these in their own div. I think that's going to end up being handy. So I'm going to make a div in class quick links. Not spelling it super well. Container. And within that, I'm going to have an H2. And it'll say contact us. And then underneath that, I'm going to have a UL. It would be great if it autocomplete. And then I want an LI. And we're going to have 2 of them in the first one. Wow. Okay. So we got those. Totally unstyled. So let me quick do that. And then I need to make a new CSS sheet. Let me close some of these down. So I need to make a new CSS file. And I'll just call this one footer. Get really crazy with the name. Footer.css. Then I'm going to import that. I'm going to move that over here so I can work on this screen. Keep global styles open, might as well. And over in the head, once again, I'm going to import a style sheet. Then I can start closing down some of this other stuff. Okay. And now I can start styling it. And let's see. So I want to get my class. First of all, I can close process. I can close connect. Keep my screen clear here. I can get rid of this. Press Control B to get rid of that, by the way. So we just want to select footer. Am I in the wrong? Yep, I'm in the wrong window. Dot footer. And we're going to want to give this a background color. What color is this? See if Adobe actually copies this. Sometimes it doesn't. Yep, it did. So background. Oh, there goes the train. Okay, so that's good. And then we want to now get rid of this. And we want to style the H2. So I'm going to scope that. Quick links. Oops. H2. And color. Give it a white color. And then we'll do a font size of 6M. Definitely want to change the font weight. Yep, that's way better. And then we are going to want to do the ULs and LI. And I'm going to say that the, what is it? It's not text decorations, list style. List, I don't remember if I have to do this on the UL or the LI. I thought I had put this in the global styles too. Okay, so that's gone. So now we'll do the list items. Make these white. Font size 3M. That's looking pretty good. I'm not sure why there's like a gap there. Oh, it must have a padding. Where is that padding coming from? The UL. Let's get rid of that. And there we go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the LI's position relative, because I'm going to add a pseudo element again. I'm going to put before each one of those, I'm going to put one of those, let's see, you can see it on the mock-up here. Let me zoom in. So this divider. So I'm going to export some SVGs again. I'm just going to pause it and then resume once I got those SVGs. So actually, instead of doing an SVG, I'm going to see if I can do this with a pseudo element. That seems to make more sense. So I just did an LI before, and I made it position absolute. Let's change the padding. And let's see if I can get this looking more like on the mock-up. Zoom out a little bit on the mock-up. So yeah, I can see there's quite a bit more distance on the mock-up. That's much better. Now the only thing I see is that there is no gap between them, and it's a little bit thick. So let me reduce this. See how that looks. That looks a lot better. And then there needs to be a little bit of a gap between those, I would say. Let's see. Let's add a margin bottom 0.25 em. Let's see how that gap looks. Maybe 0.5. I'm going to lose my mind. I do not know why it is. Okay, that looks good. But now the space between them looks a little bit much. So I'm going to make that padding a little bit less there. And now, how is that gap? I think it could still use more of a gap between the items. Try to keep it clean. I think that's good. And then I think the UL, I think the H2 could use a little gap below it too. Little space. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so now I can just duplicate this 2 more times. There we go. And then I can change what is in these to match what I got. I'll just pause it and do that quick. Okay, so I got those added. Next thing I need to add in is the follow us social icons. Okay, so I created a new socials folders under assets and I put in my SVGs. So I'm going to start making images inside of here. These are, ooh. Actually, I should make anchor tags. I should have done that with the other ones. Yeah. We'll say href equals facebook.com. And I'll come through and fix these later. I'm going to do a different video where I add the functionality. And inside of here, I'm going to make an image. And I'm going to make the alt Facebook icon. And then the source is going to be assets. Where's footer? Why is it not there? So, oh. Why did I call it socials? Anyway, okay, I guess I did socials and Facebook. Okay, and I'm going to give this a class of socials-icon. Okay, and now over here, I'm going to close this again. Social icon. I think I'm going to set the height actually. So dot footer dot socials dash icon. I'm going to set the width to auto, and I'm going to set the height to 3M. And let's see how that turned out. Looks like I need to get the height down a little bit. Let's see, maybe 2M. That looks better. Let's see. So now I need to do the same thing and just add LinkedIn. So I'll just pause it and fill those out. Okay, I got those added. So next I need to actually add the source here for my icon, for my logo. And we'll say that logo is assets. Add my logo. Okay. And then I'm going to add a class for that. And we'll we'll say width, let's see, probably like 60%. And we'll say margin is, how about 4M auto? Let's give that a whirl. Okay, so we want to do maybe more like 8M. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, I did 89. Oof, no. Okay, and then all I need to do after that is add the footer. So let me look at the layout quick and make sure I put that where I want it. Okay, so this is just going to be, this needs to be outside of the divs that have the quick links and all of that, which is, let's see, let me minimize that. So I got quick links, I got my image. These should all be in one div. So I got content. So content, yes. So content is right there. So yep, right here is where I want. I'm just going to make a P, and I'm going to call it class equals copy. What do you even call this? I don't even know why I'm putting this on here. Whatever. Copyright. That might be wrong. Let's see. But I can always come back in and fix that. Then I'm going to copy the content here. You might not be able to see what I'm doing. Sorry. Oops. Now I want to copy it, not alter it. Let's see if I can. There we go. I'm going to copy that. Put that in here. And let's see. So dot footer dot copyright. And we'll say font size 2M. Text align center. Color is white. Bang. Okay, that's literally all I need to add some padding to the top of this. So I would say some padding for the, okay, let me look at what the padding is by default. I think it's 4M. Let's see, footer. So that padding by default is 4M. So I think I'm going to make this 8M 4M. Just give that a little gap. So 8M on the top, 80 pixels on the top and bottom, 4M on the sides to match the rest. And let's see what we got. Okay, that is pretty stinking good, I think. Let me look at that. Yeah, I think that is just fine right there. Okay, so now all I need to do, maybe a little bit more on the top. So let's try 12M on the top. That's better. I like that. Okay. And then maybe a little bit of a gap between, you know, that's fine. It's good how it is. I'm going to quit messing with it. Okay. So now is where I need to add some flex here. So I need to go to content. I need to add my media query and go to content. So at media. min width is 641 pixels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that the display is now flex. Well, I do need to make my selector first, of course. So dot footer dot content Sorry, Saturday morning, kids are yelling in the background. It is what it is. If you've made it this far in the video, I am shocked. And if you've made it this far, then you probably aren't bothered by kids. Let's see. And I'm going to make this actually flex direction row reverse. Let's see. And then I'm going to make my footer logo much smaller. So we got 4 items here, so we might as well make everything here 25%, I guess. Let's see how that looks. So I need to make the quick links. Let's make those like 20%. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I think I want to reduce, and then I really want to reduce the size of some of these fonts. They look too big. Let's make these like 2.4M. And maybe we'll make these 3M. And then we'll make these like 2.4M. So quick links LI. See how that, oh yes, that's just so much better. Okay. And then I still need to make the icons a little bit smaller, I think. So what did I call those? It was socials icon. So let me make those a little bit smaller. We'll make those. Oh no, it was the height. Height 2.4M. And let's see what we get. Okay, so that looks good. Now, my biggest issue now is that there's no gap between the logo and the those links, and the alignment is kind of weird too. So let me look at that. So I want to make the logo, I think, smaller. I'm going to add a little gap here. And let's see. I need to get rid of the margin on the logo. So I'm trying to figure out why is that logo so tall? Okay, I have to add, let's see, to align items, flex start. And then I would say justify content space evenly. I don't like that. I think I need to make the logo bigger. It's still, no, I don't. I don't know why these items aren't being spaced evenly. I'm gonna bring this back down because it's too big. So actually, if I look at this, if I hover over this, these are being spaced evenly already. So maybe if I make this logo even like, let's try 10%. No. Maybe if I make them all 20%. So they should all be the same. And then we can justify content, flex start. Okay. And that is not happening. I guess it's flex end maybe, since this is reversed. There we go. Okay. And then I think I'm just going to give this stupid logo a margin right of 0. So top, right, bottom. There we go. Okay. Boom. The only thing I need to do, I think, is add a little padding to content. Bam. Okay, so let's make sure it still looks good on mobile. And it does. Okay, that is it. Holy crap. These things never go fast, do they? Okay, so mobile view, top to bottom. It is all done. It is all styled. There's no functionality added. This is just a static page. And desktop, same thing. So this video has been long enough. I am just going to call it for this video, and then in my next video, I'm going to add functionality to everything. If you have made it this far, please just drop a comment. I would be amazed and shocked. But if you did, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'll make another video on me adding functionality to it, and then probably after that, I'll add Google Analytics. I'll go through Lighthouse and optimize it. And then after that, I'll deploy it on Vercel. But this video is probably like 2 hours long already at least. Great. Bye.